Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead Season 9. This is for episode 6 now. It is called, Who Are You Now? Alright, and spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen tonight's episode for The Walking Dead, you want to watch it before you watch this review. So we basically have 2 episodes left of The Walking Dead Season 9, and then we're at a mid-season finale for what is one of the strangest, half-season, of a series I've ever seen. Because, of course, this season with this episode, this felt like kind of a premiere to almost maybe like a new series or something. I mean, this episode could have been used as like an episode 1 for any season, and it would have probably made perfect sense. There's even a scene where Hermit Daryl sort of kind of like returns to where Carol sees him and asks him if he wants a ride, and he kind of smiles and takes the offer. But it's strange because we just saw him last episode, but it's been 6 years in terms of the time skip. So after such a drastic time skip, this one comes in as almost a premiere for a new season or a new series in terms of its feel. Now this one was directed by Larry Tang, who's only directed, I think, 1 episode prior to The Walking Dead, which is Season 8, Episode 7, which was Time for After, which was a pretty decent episode. That was the lead up to How It's Gotta Be. This one I thought was basically, I'd say it was just okay. It was just okay for me. It was there was some stuff in it that probably should have been done in a little bit more of an epic capacity, namely the fire scene. So there were some pretty good scenes throughout the episode, and you got a lot of, again, with The Walking Dead, they're having to, these days, with having the group so spread out, having the different communities. In this one, we don't see the hilltop at all. We see basically the kingdom again, which has been kind of reborn. We see Alexandria. Then we see kind of the broadcast tower, or where Eugene and Rosita are going to. And then we see Daryl, we see Jed and his group with the Saviors here. So we're kind of spread out in that sort of way in terms of the storytelling, Magna and the others. And, as the whole thing comes together, the highlight of the episode for me was probably the Jed stuff with the Saviors that have pretty much let us know that the Sanctuary has all but become pretty much defunct. The bridge was never repaired. They basically left it, and the people of the Sanctuary, it looks like, have just kind of been, lost. In this one, you have Jed and his group that basically goes through, and they're, it looks like, robbing the people of the joint communities and taking what they need to take. He spares Carol because she had spared him before, and Rick did too. If you guys remember, this before the time skip and everything they did, and now that's kind of come back to bite them in this the episode. And you have Henry, who's fighting back against them. Jed, who requests her wedding ring, which is kind of ridiculous because it's just kind of an insulting thing, considering it probably doesn't have much of any value at all, if any at all. And it's not something that would probably be, they'd probably be all over the place. It's something you could probably go find if you wanted to. It's more of something that means something to that person in a zombie apocalypse rather than, like in real life, of course, they have value because people will buy them. But in a zombie apocalypse, it probably doesn't have that much value compared to, food or ammunition or resources like this. It's more one of the type of things where there's only a few people left alive. There's probably rings all over the place. You get them anywhere, but it's the one that Ezekiel gave to her, and that's what gives it value for her. For him, I don't think it's kind of a jerk move to kind of request it and kind of demand that she hands it over, that kind of thing. So I like that Henry kind of fought back here, and then it kind of splits off, and then later we kind of see this fire scene where it's kind of revealed. It's sort of done in a revealed type of scene where it's kind of revealed that Carol has basically while they were sleeping, has kind of tracked them down and got them and used fire to burn them alive, which should be, in terms of setup and how you think it should be as a scene, it should be one of the most badass scenes ever. But because they're doing so much in the episode, they got so many things going on in all the different areas, they barely touched on it. They kind of just showed it at the last minute, and then there's a couple of badass walking away scenes in this episode. Badass scene as she's walking away while there's fire everywhere, and they cut to commercial. And it's like one of the coolest. It should be one of the coolest scenes they do, because especially it definitely should be the best scene in this episode, and it should be probably one of the top scenes maybe that we've seen in a while, to see her do something like that, which is really cool. But the way it was kind of delivered, or the way it was kind of shown, they just touched on it a little bit. They didn't give us a whole lot with regards to her doing it. It's something that they probably could have focused on a lot more, and I personally would have liked to have seen that more. But again, that has to do with my taste and what I like to see. I always enjoy seeing some badass Carol scenes, and I just felt like they didn't show us as much as they probably should have with regards to the scene and what she was doing. It was more done in a sort of a reveal type of way, rather than kind of a tracking, or kind of like what is she doing kind of way, which would have been cool. And then to see the scene in a type of badass way. But granted, they don't really need to do that for Carol anymore. We all know what Carol is capable of, what she can do, and it was pretty cool nonetheless, even still. But it probably should have been even better than it turned out to be. Probably my favorite scene of the episode is when Michonne and Magna are kind of talking, kind of fighting things out right between them, because Michonne kind of reveals that Magna's lying and that she's been to prison and this whole thing. And when she walks away and Magnus asks her, and she just says nope, and then she basically just walks out. That's pretty super badass. One for Michonne. So that's probably my favorite sequence in the episode. But there was a lot of really cool stuff with the Rick figure, or the figure that reminded them of Rick, like the sheriff figure, which is really cool. And how she's talking to it, and Judith kind of catches her, and then the episode as well too, when they kind of come back to it, and Judith saying that she kind of forgets what their voices sounded like, and everything like that is pretty good. Of course, Rick being out there somewhere, and them not realizing it. I would tend to assume right now they probably think he's dead, right? So we see there's also a council in Alexandria, which is pretty cool. So you have Gabriel, you have Michonne, and they kind of each have their own respective things. You have Aaron and some of the others as well too, and they kind of each have their own respective sort of sections or categories that they're kind of involved with, and they kind of put it to a vote, or they kind of decide what they're going to do with this new group that Judith has brought back, as Negan compares to like a stray dog, right? We sort of start things off with the episode with a voiceover from Michonne as she's kind of narrating or talking to, I guess, herself or Rick, or where it all kind of went down near the bridge there, and sort of just kind of addressing that she's going to keep on fighting, and that life's going to keep on going on. The years have gone by, but she basically hasn't forgotten, and she's never going to give up no matter what, to do everything she can to protect the group, and to do what she can for them all, and to do what's right. You get some good stuff with Judith at the beginning too, and them kind of taking the group in, them looking for Daryl previously on The Walking Dead, so that was kind of cool to have Norman Reedus voice that over. You have him, and he's kind of in his hermit state, which we kind of saw in the previews anyway. He kind of snaps, and he snaps the stick, and he kills the walker in the swamp type areas. He's doing some fishing, which is kind of neat, and we get the sense that he doesn't really fit anywhere, so he kind of minds his own business and goes out on his own, right? He's an outdoor cat, as Joe called him earlier on the series, so that's fun. The walker on the tree, the discussion about dreaming, right, and dreamers, which is cool. And you've got the birds in the tree, the walker that's basically fused itself into the tree at this point after all these years and everything. So we're starting to see some like that. And then we get some kind of cool different directions here. Let's see, we've got stuff with Henry. So you've got Henry, and they're at the kingdom with Carol and Ezekiel, and Jerry's referring to her as his queen, which is kind of fun. They're patching the pipes and the water and everything in the best way they can, right, with what looks like to be duct tape and that kind of deal. We've got, let's see, the Magna group coming in, and Gracie. So that was cool to see Gracie with Aaron. We have what looks to be Henry basically filling the role as our kind of comic Carl from the looks of things, based on how things are being set up. A few mentions of the fair, which is pretty cool for comic book fans. So they're basically, it sounds like, going to have a fair where they have the communities kind of come together and have fun and give everybody a chance to kind of just have a good time, I suppose, in the zombie apocalypse. But of course, that could be something they could use for whispers and this kind of stuff coming up. So that sounds pretty cool, and I'm excited to see the fair when it arrives and what they do with that. Comic book readers will know that it's kind of an important event coming up. So that's cool. Let's see, we have Gabriel and Rosita that are revealed to be in a relationship. So I don't think anybody predicted that. But that's pretty cool. Gabriel certainly getting some this half, right? First Jadis, but of course she's gone. And likely not to be coming back, maybe ever. I would tend to think that Jadis will probably never be back. So that was kind of I guess, a fling. But she's crazy anyway. So it's not like Gabriel probably want to stay with her after that when she tried to, trade him off and this kind of thing and found out what she was up to. But, it's cool to see that, and we get the sense, too, that Eugene also likes Rosita, so that's fun. So he's kind of, in, the worst time ever, he's trying to, confess to her that he has feelings for her, this kind of thing. But she's already in a relationship with Gabriel, it sounds like, and Eugene is being kind of noticing of how serious it is if she's willing to kind of defy Michonne and security in order to go and do this for Gabriel to try to maybe bring in some other people, because it sounds like he wants to do that, or at least see if there's anybody else out there. In doing so, of course, they run into, most likely, it is with the voices at the end, a group of whispers. But in this episode, we don't really get to see any pronounced visuals of the whispers. It's a lot like the trailer, which, this would probably be a cooler episode than it ended up being, because a lot of the stuff in it we've already kind of seen in trailers and promos, and they're releasing more and more stuff to promote the episodes, which makes sense to do, like the Daryl stuff after, and like the first 4 minutes they do now, and the different sneak peeks, and then the stuff that was in the trailer with the whispers and all that. That was kind of a high point for the trailer, so it kind of feels like we've already seen it all, but there was kind of more to it in this one. You got to see it all the way through instead of just the where are they. There was a few things after that with the whispers kind of looking for them and not wanting to let them go or not wanting to lose them, right? Because they they kind of have found out, and as Eugene kind of mentions here, that a Walker herd that's going through has pulled a U-turn, which is something that you would never see, and as we've heard over the promos, he thinks that they're evolving or something, because they've kind of taken the ability to actually U-turn around, and that's something that's very strange without a trigger, like without a loudspeaker or something like that to draw them in a different direction. Usually they're just going to head off in a direction and kind of go in that way, and to see them do a total turnaround and come back is a very strange maneuver for them. So of course that's pretty much guaranteed to be, as we see at the end there, that's whisper influence, that they're kind of steering the walkers around and using them to their sort of advantage, right? Which is kind of cool. So we have that. So just the whispers are in it, but just the beginning of the whispers, and not anything that we really haven't seen before. It was kind of a cool part with Eugene kind of coming down at where he falls. There's a comic book moment later on with the whispers where something interesting happens that they might adapt with a certain character. We won't get into because of spoilers, with like a water tower or coming down on a big ladder like that. So we'll see if they use that again and they make it kind of close to the comics with regards to what happens later. So that's kind of cool. Let's see here. So the scenes with Jed, which like I said, probably should have been the best of the episode. They were exciting, and Henry kind of racing in, stupid, to try to help and save the savior there, the one that was, she was one of Negan's lieutenants before, if you guys remember, right? And basically, a boss lady, and he sees her again, and he's got a match in his mouth. He's kind of, I don't know, chewing on a match or something, type of deal. I don't know. It's kind of cool though. I liked it. I just felt like it could have been, when she finally gets him back with the fire after, it could have been more focused. So let's see, we have all that. We have the sign language for Magnus. So Magnus basically deciding whether or not she's going to try to fight or what she's going to do here, and the others are telling her, no, this isn't the right thing to do. So she goes to see Michonne, and then we get a pretty big reveal, I want to say, that maybe Michonne and Rick did have a baby, right? Because we see another little boy there. But, it's, let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. There's Judith there, there's him there, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, because that's something that, they didn't, now that's something that wasn't in any of the promos, right, is that Michonne has a son, and he's probably just around the right age, from the look of him, to possibly be Rick's, right? So that's kind of cool, man, that's really cool, but, I don't know how much we can really say about it, right now, because it was a cool reveal and everything, and I don't want to get into too much to think maybe I'm misreading it or something. You see what I'm saying? Like, did they really confirm, like, because in the episode they show it, it's kind of a reveal that it's not just Judith, but then you got this other son there too, but they kind of didn't. They didn't focus on it as much for it to be that. So it's that's a tricky one. So we'll come back to that. That's probably the topic for video this week all by itself, is whether or not the boy we see here is Rick's son or not. And this would be, because Judith is Shane's, right? So I guess not that really makes much of a difference, but I don't know. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about that one. That, maybe that's one of the most standout things in the episode as well too. Again, with the way The Walking Dead is happening now, and it's not a bad thing in season 9, but there's a lot of different things happening in different locations, so it's hard to kind of find themes for episodes. And there's a lot of stuff. Maybe that's the most standout part of the episode for most people, which that makes sense when you really think about the importance of that, and that we should probably focus on that. And leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think about that. Am I off base here? Is that where they're going with this? Let's discuss that one. I mean, I would think that fits, right? You'd think so, but you would also think that they might focus on it a little bit more than they did. But again, they got to balance all this different stuff, so it depends what the director wants to do and what they want to do in terms of which parts they kind of want to highlight when they're doing so many different things in the same episode, right? And different characters and everything. So we have all that stuff going through. We get the scenes with Carol, like we mentioned, and Daryl kind of coming through and asking about the ride. You've got Michonne with the X cut on her back, and let's see, Jay. So I'll work on it. There's a part with Negan too, when Negan's helping her with her homework. So I thought that was fun, and he's trying to put it in practical terms for her, because he was. In the comics, he was a high school teacher, so that's kind of cool to see Negan in that way is different, and it's just kind of fun to see him with Judith here, which is kind of cool. And then don't let them get away, basically just the first glimpse of the Whispers. So all in all, in terms of an episode, I'm just going to give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a good episode. There was a lot of things happening, and it was an episode where. So many different little things were happening in different places. It's hard to kind of find, like I said, a theme for what the episode is. I guess it depends on the person and what stands out to you most. Like, what did you guys like most from the episode? Was it the Carol stuff? Was it maybe the Gabriel-Rosita relationship reveal? Was it possibly the baby reveal? Was it the Whisper stuff, right? Was it Magna and the group coming in and the Judith stuff, or the Michonne's badass moments, or whatever? What was it for you that did it in the episode? And I certainly don't think it's a bad episode. It's just there's a lot of stuff happening, and it's hard to kind of qualify it down into one general theme. It's almost like there's all these different themes happening concurrently as the story's going through. So it's hard to kind of even review the episode by itself, because it's just a piece of what we're going to see in the next two, and the start to so much that's coming, right? So with a few updates for the time skip and everything like that, and then some things to discuss as well. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be back soon to do my predictions for episode 7, and then we'll start up the Q&As for this week. Walking Dead, still solid. A solid return after Rick's gone. Nothing mind-blowing, I don't think, but a decent, we're here, we showed up, what's going on, we're here to work, whatever. Nothing crazy, but we're showing up. So, decent effort, right? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. If you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share and favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, bottom left to subscribe. So for this one, see you guys again soon for another video. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.